The capital of the state of Jalisco in western Mexico, Guadalajara is known for its rich cultural traditions, stunning historic architecture, energetic nightlife, and mouth-watering cuisine. The Guadalajara metropolitan area is home to around 5 million inhabitants. It's an attractive place to live for people who want big city energy and opportunities. If and when you need to escape the hustle and bustle, the city has lovely green spaces, or the closest beach is a 3-hour drive away.
If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, you know what I'm gonna say. Welcome back. My name is Alex, and I moved to Mexico from the US in 2017. I lived in a city called Querétaro for 5 years, and now, well, for the past 2 years, I have called Guadalajara home. I've got some errands to run, I've got a few different things on my to-do list, and why don't you keep me company? One of the first things I want to talk about, one of the first things that I think you need to know about if you are thinking about living in Guadalajara is the climate. And maybe that seems like a no-brainer, but in my experience, I find that people don't really think about the climate that much when they are moving to Mexico. They just think every single day it's gonna be sunny and warm and beautiful. Now that is the case, I would say, the majority of days in Guadalajara annually. It is very sunny, like cloudless, beautiful blue skies, and very, very agreeable temperatures. However, there is a rainy season in Guadalajara, and if you have never lived somewhere with a rainy season, let me just tell you, it can be intense. We are in the rainy season right now. It starts usually in June and goes through the end of October, mid-October. It depends year to year, and the intensity can vary a lot based on the year. As far as the timing though, it usually coincides with hurricane season. Ooh, that jackhammer on the other side of the street is really gonna be the test of my new microphone. Hopefully you can still hear me okay with the construction going on. That is Guadalajara, that is Mexico. Siempre hay obras. The first year that I lived in Guadalajara, I heard so much about the rainy season here. Everyone was telling me that it was absolutely torrential, but the first year wasn't really that bad. This year, however, has been a totally different story. It has rained pretty much every single day, and it has rained really hard. Usually it rains in the afternoon or at night, so for me, it's usually pretty easy to avoid being out in the rain. There have been a few days though where it's been gray all day, where it's rained all day. One good thing about rainy season though is that it clears the air here in Guadalajara. The air pollution, just like any city in the world, right? The air pollution can be intense here, and I would say that the worst month of the year for it is probably April, May, June, right before the rainy season starts. That's when I tend to have kind of like seasonal allergies, sneezing, coughing. Sometimes I just feel like a little out of it even. We are on our way home from the beach. We're probably like an hour and a half from Guadalajara right now. And I've just never really seen anything like this. We're passing by Tequila, and they're doing some burning in the fields. I don't know if that's the agave or what it is, but it's raining and the clouds are trapping the smoke. I don't know, I'll just show you. It is so gray. It seems like it's fog, but it's not. that's really something to consider if you are wanting to move to Mexico, if you are thinking about moving to Mexico. And it might not be good for you if you have respiratory issues, really bad allergies, then maybe Guadalajara isn't for you. Now, I would say that compared to places in the US, compared to some of the more popular neighborhoods to live in Mexico City, I would even say compared to Querétaro, where we used to live in Mexico, Guadalajara is an affordable place to live. Of course, affordability is all relative, right? And I am coming from a very privileged position as someone who earns in dollars and spends in pesos. I get a lot of questions about how much you should budget for living in Guadalajara, and that's really tough to answer because it totally depends on your lifestyle. I know foreigners here who spend like $1,000 a month, and I know Mexicans here who spend like way more than that a month. So it all depends on your lifestyle. To give you a better idea of what to expect here in Guadalajara, I wrote a blog post detailing all of my weekly, monthly, annual expenses, which I will link in the description of this video for you to check out. And I think that you'll find that pretty helpful. I talk about how much I personally spend per month. Shopping is one way that you can definitely save money in Guadalajara, and I'm talking about shopping for furniture, shopping for clothes. There is a huge secondhand culture in Mexico in general, but especially in Guadalajara. In past vlogs, I have shared my favorite bazaar on Saturdays here, every Saturday in Parque Rojo. If you are in Guadalajara, you definitely need to check it out. And if you're visiting Guadalajara and your visit doesn't necessarily fall on a Saturday, you aren't able to get over to Parque Rojo, then definitely check out some of the secondhand stores, some of the thrift stores here. I'm headed to one of my absolute favorites right now. I am looking for some long shorts / jeans, pants. We'll see what I find, but looking for stuff I can skate in. No luck today finding any jeans or shorts for skating, but that's just how it goes sometimes when you are thrifting or just shopping in general. Did find some new sunglasses though, which was also on my to find list, so small wins. I get a lot of questions from people about renting in Guadalajara, what to expect, what the rental market is like, what landlords ask for. Really, it varies so much from landlord to landlord as far as what they want to see. I would say that 1 month security, 1 month, first month's rent is pretty standard. But beyond that, if they are going to ask for a fiador, a naval, someone from the state of Jalisco, maybe someone from Guadalajara, a property owner, to sign on your behalf, sometimes that's something that they want to see, like a cosign. Another thing that people sometimes want to see, that landlords sometimes want to see, is something called a póliza jurídica, which is sort of like a background check, a renter's background check to see if you're going to be able to pay rent every month. What the póliza jurídica involves, it's a bunch of different things, but I have a video all about my experience finding our place in Guadalajara that I think you will find helpful. We found our apartment on Inmuebles 24, and it was actually the first and only apartment I saw. I didn't even see it myself. A friend went and saw it for me. Just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, you should really watch my video all about renting in Guadalajara. But just to give you a little bit of an idea, we pay 23,000 pesos per month for a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment in the Arcos Vallarta neighborhood. You've probably heard of La Americana, which Time Out magazine named one of the, or I think like the coolest neighborhood in the world last year. There was like much to do about that in the city. But it is by no means the only neighborhood in Guadalajara. There are a bunch of other awesome ones. I'm gonna go ahead and put a few of the neighborhoods that I like onto the screen here in just one second. I definitely haven't even come close to exploring all the parts of the city. The ZMG, Zona Metropolitano Guadalajara, is huge. It's basically like 3 cities squished into one. So much to see. And so many potential places to live based on what your lifestyle is and what you're looking for.
Guadalajara has a well-developed public transportation system, including buses and a light rail. The public transportation that I utilize most often is Guadalajara's bike share program. Mi Bici has stations all over the city, and earlier this year, the city upgraded the bikes. An annual Mi Bici membership costs just under 500 pesos. Once you get used to the flow of traffic, Guadalajara is a pretty bike-friendly city with lots of ciclovías, dedicated bike lanes, and relatively flat terrain. Do you need a car to live in Guadalajara? During the week, the only time we really use our car is for grocery runs. On the weekends, it's nice to have for excursions outside the city and road trips to the beach. Personally, I don't drive in the city, and when I can't walk or ride my bike somewhere, I'll opt to take an Uber. Uber is safe to use in Guadalajara, and I prefer it over regular taxis since you can verify the driver and share your ride with someone. There are lots of drivers in Guadalajara, so I've never had to wait more than a few minutes for a ride. You can also download Didi if you want a backup option. It's another rideshare service, which is even more cost-effective than Uber, but the cars tend to be a little older and a little smaller. Guadalajara also has its own international airport. It's located about a 30-minute drive from the city center depending on traffic. Getting out there via Uber usually costs between 300 and 400 pesos. Security is always a breeze, but the times I've had to check a bag, the lines to do so have been a nightmare. At least this airport has a Shake Shack.
Riding in the center, biking in the center is always an interesting experience, but I made it. So right now I am in the Centro, making my way around and looking for some sewing stuff. It's a hobby that I'm trying to pick up with all the good thrift here in Guadalajara. I've got to learn how to upcycle and fix my clothes, tailor them to my needs. This trip down to the Centro has definitely been a success. I got my rulers and my pattern paper and most importantly my fabric, so really excited to do my first sewing project. Lots of people will ask me how much Spanish you need to know if you are living in Guadalajara. I get it, maybe you are getting ready to move to Mexico, and with all the things on your to-do list, you just have not had time yet to get to learning Spanish. What I always tell people is the more Spanish you know, the better. It's going to help you feel at home faster. It's going to help you feel safer. I mean, when you know what's being said around you, you just feel way more at ease in that given environment. There are definitely lots of people who speak English in Guadalajara, especially young people. Lots of people study it in school. However, if you are out and about running errands like I was today, there is no guarantee that shopkeepers are going to be able to communicate with you. Dentists, doctors, that's another story. But if you are going to the grocery store or ordering at a restaurant, then you definitely shouldn't just assume that someone is going to be able to speak English. Like, please do not be that person. Nobody likes that person who just like demands to be spoken in English to. So I guess like get familiar with Google Translate, but even more important than that, learn Spanish if you are going to live in Guadalajara, if you are going to live in Mexico. Hopefully you are finding it super helpful, and I have a few more things that I want to share, some of the things that I get asked the most about. So definitely hang in there, keep watching, and I came to my favorite coffee shop just to bust this out, so let's do it. Now, I have lived in 2 cities now in Mexico and traveled extensively all over the country since I moved here back in 2017, and I have got to say the people in Guadalajara are hands down the friendliest people I have come across in Mexico. There's just like a general joy to them, super buena onda. Guadalajara is a huge city. People are coming from all over the state of Jalisco, all over Mexico, from all over the world to make a life for themselves here, and that includes making friends. A little piece of advice that I wanted to share that I actually heard on a podcast recently. This has been a total game changer for me. Every friendship should have an about. I have really tried to connect with people, not just like, oh, do we vibe? Because really, while that's important, that's pretty vague. You want to make sure that your friendship has something that it's about. For example, I have friendships that are about roller skating. I have a group of women that I meet with every single month for a book club. Our friendships are about books. Take this as a sign that if you're not sure what a potential friendship about could be, then it's a good opportunity to make a list of things that you're interested in, hobbies that you might want to take up, and see if you can find people to connect with who also enjoy those things in Guadalajara. For finding things to do around Guadalajara, I love to follow some different Instagram accounts. Antiturista, there are some cafes. I will link those different Instagram accounts in the description of this video so you can give them a follow, and it's just a really great place to kind of like tune in, check in, and see what's happening around the city. How great is this long desk area here for working? I definitely need to come back and bring my laptop. I had never been up here to the upstairs before, and it's perfect for a little cafe co-working. If you've been watching this video and waiting for me to touch on this particular subject, the time is now. We are going to talk about safety in Guadalajara. Safety is all relative. A friend of mine who also lives in Mexico made the comment to me not that long ago that everywhere feels safe until something happens to you or to someone close to you. This is a big city, and bad things do happen here, just like big cities in any part of the world. So just to be clear, I feel safe living here in Guadalajara, but just because I feel safe here, just because that's been my experience, doesn't give you leave
to forget your common sense when you come to Guadalajara. It's very important that you maintain situational awareness in any big city that you happen to be spending time in. Guadalajara is no exception. One of the most common crimes that happen here, I would say that, lots of tourists are affected, and just, people who maybe aren't used to living in a city, and it is phone theft. I actually have a whole video on my channel that talks about how to stay safe when traveling in Mexico, when living in Mexico. And one of the very first things I'm pretty sure I touch on in that video is phone theft and how to keep your phone safe. So I will put that up on the screen now for you to go watch next. Go watch next before you come to Guadalajara. I think you'll find it very helpful. If you have any questions about living in Guadalajara, moving to Guadalajara, or just ideas for future content that you'd like to see on my channel, please feel free to let me know in the description below. I'm Alex from backpackingbrunette.com. Thanks for watching.